Morning speakers, attendees, and welcome to Asia Warehousing Show, Asia Cold Chain Show, Ecom Logistics Show Virtual Edition. Today is the first day and will take place until 24th of September. Exhibition and conference is basically focusing on logistics, express, delivery, smart warehouses, automation for logistics, cold logistics, refrigeration, temperature controlling, e-commerce logistics. Today, we are going to discuss the blockchain technology in logistics, how logistic experts and supply chain leaders are working on their sophisticated technology, and it helps to deliver quality services. I would like to thank Mr. Andy Sian, founder ADR Tech Consulting, who is going to moderate the session, and other panelists as well. Now, I request Andy to kindly start the session. Over to you, Andy. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Prashant, for that brief introduction. And a very good morning to everyone. Again, my name is Andy Sian, and I'll be your moderator for this panel discussion, Blockchain in Logistics and Supply Chain Management in Asia. Blockchain technology is gaining positive momentum in being adopted to solve some of the pressing issues and exploit some of the highly promising growth opportunities in the areas of logistics and supply chain management in Asia and across the globe. From helping the fight against fake drugs and food terrorism to opening new markets based on trust and provenance, blockchain technology is showing its true potential apart from being a key technology stack in most fintech-based solutions. In addition, we are also seeing the powerful combo of blockchain with other emerging technologies such as Internet of Things and artificial intelligence being utilized to radically reduce processing times by automating manual processes, streamlining existing automated processes, and improving business efficiencies to achieve substantial cost savings and transform customer experience management. Today, we are extremely privileged to be able to hear insights from our esteemed panelists who are industry experts in the field of blockchain technology. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce each one of them. Our first panelist is Max E. Kongki. Max is a transport and logistics consultant based in Singapore. He has 20 years of experience in the domain of supply chain management, international trade facilitation, and cross-border logistics. Max holds a Master of Science in Logistics, graduate diploma in system analysis, and a Bachelor of Business Administration, with second upper honors awarded from National University of Singapore and Nanyang Technology University, both ranked 11th and 13th in QS World University Rankings 2021. His list of clientele includes World Bank, US Agency for International Development or USAID, Asian Development Bank, and International Trade Center. Max's current research and business focus is on the use of enterprise blockchain for supply chain use cases. He is the lead organizer for the Digital Supply Chain and Digital Warehousing and Automation online seminar in February to March 2021, a joint event by Singapore Logistics Association and Confederation of Indian Industry. The course focused on topics such as blockchain applications, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. Max obtained his certified blockchain consultant title in July this year from the Institute of Blockchain Singapore. Our second panelist is Christophe VIGUERIE, who is a French national living in Asia for more than 16 years. Sawadee-kap, Christophe. He received a master's degree in international business from Dauphine University in Paris and several postgraduate certificates on finance, economy, and blockchain strategy. Christophe is a member of the Institute of Director in Thailand and a certified director both in Thailand and Australia. Christophe has been working for more than 25 years in the watch industry on 5 continents. In 2017, Christophe developed a platform called Tech & Co to support innovative projects and focus on blockchain applications in the business world. He has contributed to several projects involving supply chain optimization through blockchain-based solution. He has also participated in conferences and did presentations to universities to share his knowledge on the technology. More recently, Christophe joined a DBA program at City University in Hong Kong. His thesis is on the blockchain theory of trust. He is also a lecturer at UTCC International School of Management, BBA program, and a regular speaker at Chulalongkorn University SASIN and EBA program. Our third panelist is Effendy Zulkifly, my fellow Malaysian. He obtained his law degree from UiTM Shah Alam, Malaysia, and his diploma in IT management from Ellison Academy, the e-learning provider and academy founded in Galway, Ireland. He learned to code and program using Python and JavaScript from Code Academy. He also studied for the Master of Business Administration, majoring in FinTech at University Tun Abdul Razak. He is a certified blockchain expert from the Frankfurt School Blockchain Center located in Frankfurt, Germany, and obtained his certificate of FinTech program from Oxford University. Effendy is very active in the local and regional tech scenes. He has founded ASEAN Youthpreneur Community, a non-profit technology chamber of commerce that consists of technopreneurs from 10 ASEAN countries promoting blockchain and digital entrepreneurship. He also founded Blockworq Sdn Bhd, Crypto Valley Malaysia, and Blockchain Research Center Malaysia, or BRCM, with the focus in building a more professional and educated talents in the field of blockchain and IR 4.0 ecosystems, and also in exploring on how blockchain and other emerging technologies can be utilized as key enablers for Industry 4.0. Last but not least, our final panelist is Johanne Lim from Philippines. Johanne is currently the CTO for a blockchain-based e-commerce and distribution company called Pelago Inc. and CEO for a buy now, pay later fintech e-commerce startup, Move Forward Incorporated. The former being one of the first commodity trading as a service providers aiming to disrupt traditional trade and distribution through its omni-channel business solution platform and merchant ecosystem. Johanne has designed and built leading-edge e-commerce, supply chain, and finance software in various companies like OpenPort, Oracle NetSuite, and 1902 Software. He's also worked in various technology roles since 1997, and he is a professional Scrum product owner with a US patent in addition to 2 ongoing patent applications. Now, to kickstart our discussion, I would like to ask each of our industry experts their views and opinions on why is blockchain technology considered as a game changer for logistics and supply chain management. Let us begin with Max. Now, Max, what are your views on why is blockchain technology considered as a game changer for logistics and supply chain management?
Good morning, and thank you, Roy. Good morning to everyone, and also to the fellow panelists. For the blockchain, is definitely a game changer, and enterprise doing their SWOT, SWOT analysis will definitely put blockchain under opportunities and threats. Why I see it as a game changer, regardless of industries, there are 2 main features, right, that would pose it as a game changer. We know blockchain, there are a few unique features compared to traditional information systems or information technology. So I would reckon that decentralization and the fact that the records are immutable are actually very, very important for this in transforming how information is going to be collected, processed, analyzed, and reported. Let's talk about decentralization first. All the panelists over here, and also I believe many of the audience have worked in some segments or the entire supply chain before. And we know that normally the informations are in silos. So it is very difficult to really see the data across the board and come to a decisions where it can be made in a transparent and a very efficient manner. But through this blockchain where it's decentralized, it's therefore possible, right, to actually have all this information put in a aggregated manner, right, in a very efficient and transparent way, so that the decision making can be very, very fast. And the fact that it is immutable reminds me of the fact that those of you remembered in China 2008, the year of the Beijing Olympics. Before that, there was actually a big episode on the milk poisoning, where infants and kids actually were harmed, right, or even died from melamine poisoning. And that's because in the entire supply chain, a lot of silos of information. right? And information data can be doctored, the ingredients can be altered. So the fact that we have all this blockchain that provides decentralization as well as immutable records actually create a very compelling, unique proposition for businesses to really rethink, revamp, and restructure the whole supply chain so that the data itself is now able to support a lot of decision-making processing, and also a lot of reporting. And I see that it will also give rise to an entire new ecosystems of service providers. Those who are still relying on unstuffing a container or doing bulk stacking in a warehouse are what we call the low value added job. And those new service providers who are able to utilize the power of blockchain, like the MERS trade lens system, which later we can elaborate, are actually the high value added service providers. And these two distinctions will actually differentiate the resulting profit margin and also the business opportunities in this entire ecosystem. So definitely, I think it is a game changer, definitely.
Right. Very good observation there. Very good insights, Max. And I totally agree with you on that. Now let's move to Christophe. What will be your views and thoughts in this topic, Christophe? Why is blockchain technology considered a game changer for logistics and supply chain management?
Thank you, Andy, and thank you to Manch Exhibitions for having me today. I would like to get a focus on the SME perspective, because large companies have probably a lot of resources and can analyze the different pros and cons. It's sometimes more difficult for SMEs. I would reduce it to two keywords: transparency and trust. And this is valid, of course, for any company using blockchain technology. So blockchain basically helps companies in the supply chain in particular to track the state of processes of their business. So that's a key element of catching information, accessing information. The key element of the organization blockchain is a blockchain database that we call the ledger. So all the information are stored in the same ledger, and information are approved by all the supply chain participants. So whatever information is on this ledger, it's accepted by the whole community as trustworthy. So that's a second key notion, which is what we call the single version of truth. If you want to know what is true, just look at the ledger. And then nobody can corrupt this ledger. I think Max mentioned that already. This is immutable. So that provides transparency even for untrusted stakeholder. And in any supply chain, the element of trust can be viable. So to some extent, mutual trust is not necessary. The ledger, which is very important, is shared among participants. So everyone in the supply chain share actually the same trustworthy information. So we all access the same information and we all trust this piece of information. And that's an extremely important level of trust that we can establish within the participant of the supply chain. So this transparency, you have to analyze it as being both intra-organizational and extra-organizational. So the benefits are for both. So inside the company, you have many different systems, and sometimes logistics cannot really communicate with sales and vice versa. Blockchain speaks only one language, and there is only one ledger. So you just share this information, and obviously you get a better efficiency inside the company. For other partners outside of the company, that's a very useful base of exchange of data and information as well. We all speak on the same file. I don't think it happens so many times actually in the current business life. Most of the time we are own sources, and then we tend to get a little bit confused with information from the other side. So basically, the transparency provided by blockchain can boost the trust between companies. That can boost the trust between companies and their customers. So we establish transparency that can go up to the customers. I think we come back later to that by giving some examples. and that contribute a competitive edge. I mean, it's a disruptive technology. So newcomers or more flexible organization might take a decisive advantage. So it's definitely a game changer.
Thank you, Christophe, right, for echoing what Max mentioned earlier as well. And I'm particularly interested in the areas that you mentioned earlier, where how do we onboard SMEs and how they can actually adopt blockchain to help with their businesses. That is one of the topics that I believe the Malaysian government also looking at, and it's quite a tough nut to crack at the moment, because there's so many, there's a plethora of issues related to SMEs when it comes to tech adoption. Right. Thank you again for that, Christophe. Now let's move to Effendy.
All right.
So Effendy, could you share with us your views with regards to why is blockchain technology considered a game changer for logistics and supply chain management?
Okay, thank you to moderator, thank you to the man, thank you to all my panelist friends. Basically, all my points already covered by Christophe and Maxi, but it's okay. I think I want to share another perspective. When we talk about the game changer, we want to see from the perspective, the recognition by the world body, for example. World Economic Forum already mentioned that blockchain technology is a part of the nascent technologies for the tech for integrity. Since 2017, World Economic Forum, led by Citibank, supported by Clifford Chance, Facebook, IBM, MasterCard, Microsoft, PwC, as well as 80 plus allies and contributors recognize blockchain tech is a part of the tech for integrity, including AI, including big data, e-governance as a part of the solutions for the tech for integrity. And this implementation will be used in many sectors, private and also government. While in Malaysia, in my country, we in the community of the blockchain already got something we can say that winning situation, where our government already recognized blockchain is a part of our industry forward or 4.0 industry or national policy, where blockchain tech is a part of the foundational technology in the national policy. And I would like to see from the perspective on the benefits in nutshell on the blockchain technology, where first, it can enhance transparency, a lot of documenting on products, supply chains, can be used in terms of transparency. Second, on the greater scalability, on the participants, assessing from numbers of touch points, in terms of point of sale, in terms of midstream, upstream on the ecosystem, and of course, better security, where by using the blockchain tech, a lot of things, the features such as of recording, of the transfer of assets, tracking, assigning, linking, sharing will be a major benefit, advantage in the system, in the supply chain, in the value chain ecosystem. That's all from my perspective.
Thank you, Effendy, for the perspective, and I believe you were also involved in our previous national blockchain roadmap discussions. Right.
Yes. I'm part the person in charge. On the national agenda, roadmap agenda in my country.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess the government is actively looking at that, and even it's been listed under My Digital.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Johanne, over to you. So what will be your thoughts on the topic of why is blockchain considered a game changer in logistics and supply chain management?
All right, thanks for the great inputs from my co-panelists. And first off, appreciate you having me in this group. So very quickly, everyone's brought up really good points about the use of blockchain and why it's relevant in logistics and supply chain. But I think tying all of the different layers of a full end-to-end supply chain is where this actually matters for the SME. So SMEs, large companies, enterprises typically need finance and decision making that's based on financial data. So a lot of the lending decisions these days, more and more obviously, are based on perception of risk. Now, if that perception of risk is actually mitigated by a decentralized blockchain system that promotes the acceptance of digital EPODs, or the audit trail that Christophe mentioned earlier, and Max also alluded to, the audit trail of changing of hands from the product provenance to a sales order to when it's actually consolidated to a warehouse and then delivered all the way to the customer. When that audit trail is encapsulated in a smart contract, then that entire shipment, that one shipment, becomes less of a risk for a bank to finance. And that's one of the major impacts or benefits of a fully working blockchain in a logistics and supply chain ecosystem. At least that's one thing I can highlight very, very vividly in today's economy.
Okay, thank you very much, Johanne, for that initial perspective. Now, let us now move to the next discussion topic pertaining to challenges and opportunities in adopting and implementing blockchain technology in logistics and supply chain management. Max, back to you. Could you share with us your findings based on your past engagements with your clients on that particular topic?
I have to agree with Christophe's observation that probably the SMEs will face more challenge compared to the MNCs with bigger resources. I can name a few. There are actually many challenges, but I think the one on cost, and the technology itself, these are the main impediments. So on the cost, as we know, actually it's not cost really cheap to run a blockchain, right? Even if any of the panelists here, you want to try and do a blockchain, you need to get in the servers and the nodes. Basically, there are three cost components. One is the number of nodes, which depend on the number of members participating in the blockchain. The second is the transaction frequency. And the third one is the storage size. So whether you use Amazon, AWS, or Microsoft, IBM Cloud, the cost can actually come up quite sizably, right? So unless you have the scale, your supply chain has a scale, it may not be cost effective if the number of nodes is very small, right? So I think cost is one of the impediments, and the different governments are coming up with different financial and support schemes. I believe in ASEAN, different governments are coming also looking at how to encourage such financial support at the early stage. In terms of the technology-wise, we know that blockchain, there's public and also permission kind. Most companies would not go for a public kind of blockchain because their supply chain information is very sensitive. So they'll be going for a permissioned kind of blockchain. And within the permission blockchain, ironically, actually is a centralized, right? Because there'll be IBM, for example, managing it. So in contradiction to the decentralization I mentioned before, actually this is going to be a little bit of a centralized, right? I don't know if any panelists here do crypto trading, but those who do, let's say you sign up on Binance, it's a centralized exchange. But if you use Uniswap, it's actually decentralized, probably more comfortable. But in blockchain, unfortunately, this is not so, right? But the problem is also technology-wise. How many companies actually have programmers who can write Solidity and write a smart contract program? And currently, I believe there are some headways of using, let's say, opening up Java and Python for the smart contract, but primarily it's still on Solidity. So in terms of that labor pool, the manpower, the IT expertise, I think this is a constraint for most companies. And therefore, I think if I may summarize, these are the cost is the biggest constraint I see, and then the technology, and of course, there are also other issues. So perhaps I can also hear from other panelists.
Interesting viewpoints, Max. And these are some of the, what do you call that, key issues when I talk to SMEs, and also not just SMEs, but rightfully, as you mentioned, even when we talk to large corporations, right? And on top of that, I think you also highlighted the third impediment, which is manpower or talents, right? The availability of the right talents to actually help with not just writing codes, but also supporting the infrastructure later on. Okay, Christophe, your turn. what do you think, based on your previous discussions or recent discussions, what are the challenges and opportunities when it comes to adopting and implementing blockchain in logistics and supply chain management?
Well, so I tried to look at two surveys that have been made in India and Malaysia on SMEs. What is interesting is everything that Max mentioned is, I think, very prime. But what is even more important is the perception that SMEs might have of the situation. So we're going to look at the perception. I'm not saying is actual, but what do they perceive? What are the difficulties and the opportunities? So one survey is made very recently, 216 SMEs, northern states of India. And globally, they try to explore the factors influencing intention of those SMEs to adopt technology for their supply chain. So that was very specific on supply chain. So the study indicates that complexity of technology and cost concerns, now we're back to what Max said, are significant reasons for the reluctance to adopt the technology. So what is interesting is to go beyond that and to understand what is their perception about complexity of the technology and what do they perceive about the cost themselves. On the other hand, they perceive a very high usefulness of the technology, and they expect a lot of advantages to have a global exposure for their companies. So this is two important opportunities. I think everything is a balance. You don't have a solution without challenges. So that was in India. The second survey is made in Malaysia last year. 194 SMEs in the Klang Valley that you know very well, Andy. So
Yes.
the two main questions of that research were what are the factors that drive the intention of those SMEs to adopt blockchain in operations and supply chain management? So we are back in the core of our discussion. And then among those factors, what are the greater association with the adoption intention? So we are talking about companies that maybe have a limited knowledge of the technology. So they look at the technology constraint, organization, environment. The outcome is factors for adoption mainly is cost reduction, competitive pressure, complexity of the supply chain, which is more straight, and relative advantage. So relative advantage to me as a consultant is extremely important. What is it? It's a positive difference between organizational benefits and the efforts required to adopt blockchain technology. So that's the balance. Is it the balance positive in the end or negative? When you look at the result, the most influential factor is actually the competitive pressure. I mean, those SMEs in Malaysia, they understood that if they don't move and consider the technology, they might face a very difficult competitive situation. So I think it's interesting to see that there is, of course, a lot of perceived challenges, but companies and particularly SMEs see very well the opportunities of the technology.
I would love to take this off separately with the rest of the panel, especially the part of the study that you mentioned earlier, Christophe, with regards to the SMEs in Malaysia, right?
Yes.
Probably next week we're going to have that separate discussion like we planned.
Sure.
Thank you very much for that insights, Christophe. Now, Effendy, let's hear your thoughts and views on the key challenges and opportunities in adopting and implementing blockchain in logistics and supply chain management.
All right. From the perspective of technologies, I can say that for example, what I wrote in my book, ABCD that are changing the world, where A means AI, blockchain, B blockchain, C connectivity, including IoT, and D is data. Blockchain tech cannot stand alone. Blockchain tech is we can say that it's a multidisciplinary knowledge that needs a lot of variation of other tech as well to ensure that blockchain tech can perform very well. For example, in terms of security, blockchain tech is very good. And people always have a misunderstanding misunderstanding about blockchain tech that always recognized only for cryptocurrency and fintech, while actually blockchain tech already been used for other parts of sectors. For example, supply chain, automotive, security. It's not just for cryptocurrencies. But the best thing about blockchain, of course, we can say that from the report of the Accenture, for example, blockchain is still maturizing, not matured yet. Accenture already mentioned that by 2035, blockchain will be really matured because of issues of the regulation and so on. And for example, since from the first paper, white paper from the Satoshi Nakamoto on 2008 until now, the increase of the value of the market cap, for example, from the fintech perspective, fintech in the blockchain, for example, now already achieved more than 2 trillion USD in the coin market cap. We can see and then more than 11,000 solution. We can say the coin, the cryptocurrencies in the market right now. And then I also can see that issue of the talent. Max already raised these issues very well, and Christophe also covered a little bit on Malaysia perspective. Yes, I can see that a lot of issues in terms of the cost, because you need to have a talent, and the talent is very expensive. The talent in terms of the programmers, for example. And then we can say also some database are often used to store large amounts of data, images, documents, right? Because why? Sometimes we can see that blockchain is designed for small pockets of data, and if data storage is needed, blockchain may not be a good fit, or a hybrid solution may be needed. Because of that, like IBM, Hyperledger, Coda, they have a lot of solution that in terms of the private and hybrid. And I would like also to touch a little bit on the perspective, I mean, in the future of work that reported by Working Forum, blockchain will be a very good, I mean, in terms of career, in terms of business, because we will be the top 10, the future of works. And I would like to see this ecosystem grow very well. And don't forget that in terms of application, will be covered by any sectors that involve data. Anything on data, anything to manage trust will be used blockchain. So it's a very huge, massive adoption in the future.
Agree, Effendy. Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. Thank you for that. And Johanne, how about yourself? I'm sure our audience would also love to hear your insights in the topic.
Well, yeah, interesting enough. Actually, a lot of the points that the co-panelists have mentioned are very important. Although, in general, what I see in the industry in terms of applying the technology day-to-day basis with companies that we serve is a few things come to mind that are very, very core. So inefficient technology design of most blockchain networks, be it Ethereum or Hyperledger or Corda. A lot of these blockchain platforms and technologies are still based on centralized mindset. Be realistic about it. So we know that it was built for decentralization, for making sure that numerous computers and users and players are able to audit the veracity of a record. But unfortunately, the lack of privacy of public blockchains then push the SMEs and the enterprises to go towards a bias of hybrid or even permission blockchain. So then you actually lose the consensus mechanism. So the low scalability and the need for privacy, as well as the inherent inefficient design of current blockchain systems right now. Inefficient, when I say inefficient, it means it takes a lot of power, like takes a lot of computing, takes a lot of hardware to actually crunch all of those information and logic across thousands and thousands of computers. That level of inefficient technological design limits the scalability and adoption of blockchain across huge enterprises. Now, not to it, the need for a lot of machines and a lot of servers to be able to conduct logic and algorithm is going to consume a lot of energy as well. So high energy consumptions for enterprise uses of blockchain will also be another barrier for wide adoption, at least for global adoption for fintech. for example. And moving over to the financial side of things, there's many countries right now trying to adopt and understand cryptocurrency impact or benefits to their countries. But the lack of regulation or even the understanding of the technology is going to also be another limiting factor to fully adopting a financial solution that runs on blockchain. And as Andy, Christophe, and Max said, the recurring theme around all of this is still the inadequate number of, at least in terms of the capable people or technologists that actually can build scalable blockchain solutions. It's not there yet. It's not wide scale. So there's still a lack of capability of technologists out there that can actually provide reliable, scalable solutions.
Yep, agree with you over there, Johanne. And thank you for sharing that views. Again, it goes back to the very basic topic. Just like any emerging technologies or new technologies out there, talent is always an issue, right? And talent plays a major role in any technologies adoption and decision making. Now, let us move on to our next topic of discussion, which is blockchain use cases in logistics and supply chain management, and across industry use cases like trade finance. So, Max, could you share with us the relevant use cases that you came across before?
Sure. I will use the pharma as an example first, right? In the US, they have actually, there's a federal act. It's actually called the Drug Supply Chain Security Act, right? DSCSA. And the thing is that the counterfeit drug, the fake drugs in the whole pharma industry, which is in a very big industry, trillions of dollars, the whole market size. But the fake drugs is about 4 to 5%, right? So it's still in billions. It's especially a big problem because the consumers who bought these fake drugs will actually have serious repercussions. So in order to combat those kind of fake drugs, and of course the big pharma firms are also interested to protect the drug industry, this act actually mandate that there is a need to conduct serialization, right, for each particular drugs, right, in batches, for example. Now, traditionally in warehouse, how we do that is that the warehouse operator, when they receive the drug, it will have a lot number assigned in the warehouse management system, right? On top of, let's say, the product SKU and the lot, the manufacturer ID, the different batch number, and so on, right? But the problem is when there is a product recall, usually this becomes a very, very time-consuming affair because the lot number typically in the warehouse management system is not shared across the other supply chain like the retail store, NTUC Guardian in Singapore, for example. So the product recall is actually a very cumbersome affair. And by having this on the blockchain, right, where information is actually disseminated very quickly, but still within the permission blockchain context, right, at least the response can actually be much faster, right? And if there's any counterfeit drugs trying to go into this chain of sales, right, they can be easily identified because now we have a way to actually trace where are the fake drugs, the entry points, right? It is still more probably corrective in action, but over time, if we incorporate other technologies, just now Effendy mentioned ABCD. Coincidentally, I also have thought of the AI, blockchain, cloud computing, and data analytics, right? It actually can proactively or preventive action to prevent the bad actors entering the system. So this is actually one use case I can think of. And when you mentioned trade finance, Andy, right, oh, this is a big area. The global trade value is actually more than $1 trillion. And the whole trade finance, actually the process is very disjointed, right? You have so many different actors. And when there's a change, for example, let's say basmati rice from India coming to ASEAN. And if it's an open bill of lading, open BL, meaning the consumer, the buyer has not been confirmed in Singapore or Malaysia, and they want to look at different sales, right? They can use IBM trade lens, for example,
Yeah.
to do the documentation quickly. Imagine you do this paperwork, it will take days, right? And I think Johanne actually has mentioned open port, and there's also one system for that. Maybe we can hear from him later. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, remind me to mention that to Johanne afterwards when it reaches its turn. Thanks, Max, for the use cases. Okay, Christophe, your turn. What are the use cases that you came across before or recently? Perhaps you can share with us some of them. You are muted, Christophe.
Actually, I picked a SME logistic company based in China. They have several offices as well in other places in Asia and Europe. The name is ASI Group. So they created a digital platform for food supply chain. So it's a B2B platform. Basically, clients in China can access artisanal food products from France. So each product has its detailed specified and certified elements by an independent company. And all those certification and details are on the blockchain. So that means the clients in China can actually access those products, and they know already about the quality of those products, and they know the quality has been certified, and then all information is kept on the blockchain. Then the prices are indicated FOB. Then they add up, obviously, because this is their core business, transportation and all the custom clearance, VAT, and so on. So the customer get the final price in a renminbi arrival in their place. All information is registered on the blockchain, from the pickup at the producer in France till the reception at the client's place in China. So each time the parcel is actually scanned by a logistic company, information is time-stamped and stored. Plus there is a geolocation system that follow up the parcel. So the client in China has a total transparency over the process till he receives the parcel in his premises. And if the Chinese client has his own blockchain system, all information stored can be transferred to his blockchain. So that means he will be able to import in his own system all the detail about traceability, provenance, transparency, and then he can ensure a very transparent information to his own clients. So I think it's just, it looks like a small example, but it's actually saying a lot. That means you can add up from a basic proficiency in logistics. You can add up other services around your current business model. And then you increase your opportunities, you serve better your customers, and obviously you position yourself differently from your competitors. So I think it's an interesting example.
It is. And in fact, in China, if I were to add, the consumers still don't trust their own food systems and food manufacturers. They trust foreign providers better than their own. So in fact, this is one of the things that potential countries should be exploring together in how to penetrate China market by using blockchain technology. Very good example there, Christophe. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Andy.
Fendi,
All
what
right.
about yourself? Do you have any wonderful use cases that you would like to share with us and the audience?
Yes, for sure. I would like to share a little bit on several significant use cases that created by my company, my involvement worldwide, basically in Malaysia. First, when I met Vitalik Buterin in Malaysia, 2016, I started with a fintech first. One of the fintech solution we created on how we can use Bitcoin that related to e-commerce, and also something on the POS, points of sale, that related to the system on how you can use Bitcoin for the merchants. Then we established on 2018 a very good project because I was invited by Islamic Authority in Malaysia, JAKIM, where they control the certification body for the halal, and with the market of a 2 billion Muslim, including kosher, including vegetarian market worldwide, and approximately there are 275 million populations representing 42% of entire population in ASEAN, majorities in Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia as well, Southern Thailand, and part of Mindanao in Philippines. So there are a lot of huge market on the halal blockchain, and we created halal blockchain, but still in the pilot test, still in the proof of concept, because why? Need authority to endorse us by putting the blockchain cases, and you can go for the halalblockchain.com created by us, and we can see this kind of a global ecosystem in halal traceability and provenance is very huge, where Statista, the source from the Statista, mentioned that the halal food market is forecasted to reach USD 2.57 trillion by 2024. And JAKIMS, the Islamic authority in Malaysia, halal certification is the most trustworthy and sought after by 41 countries worldwide on the halal body certification. So we can see that also Deloitte also reported that by 2020, they are expected on to USD 4 trillion market cap for this halal blockchain. So we already creating the pilot test this year, POC, where covered the halal supply chain on the farms, packaging, transportation, groceries, consumption. For example, Muslims want to know where is the sources of the food, right? So having the blockchain, having all the data together for the halal is very good for the users to trace. Not just for the users, but also for the authority. We can help the authority to ensure the label of the halal, for example, will be the strong label by putting blockchain into the scenery. And one more thing also, we can also can help, big companies, for example, Nestle, right? They want to ensure that the supplier, their supplier will use their product. So by having blockchain can ensure the transparency, and the integrity on their ecosystem. So that's the thing that I'm involved. And last but not least, with one university in Malaysia, Management Science University, they also requested me to create some things on blockchain for certificates because they want to encounter the issue of the PhD degree, the fake PhD, fake degree, and fake diploma as well. So that's the thing now I'm doing now. Hopefully I can collaborate with you guys here and also my established and my panelist friend here.
Sure. Thank you very much for that, Effendy. Johanne, over to you. Perhaps taking cue from what Max mentioned earlier, we would love to know the use cases that you encountered. Perhaps, if you want, talk about OpenPort.
Well, that's interesting. Actually, there's a number of companies that have been doing blockchain-enabled shipments, especially last mile shipments. When we say last mile, that is typically from warehouse to end customer. One of which is actually OpenPort. So back in 2018, 2019, they started implementing a blockchain-based ePOD solution for very good Effendy. You mentioned Nestle. It's actually for Nestle Pakistan. There's a couple of information floating around on the internet, even a video testimonial from Nestle Pakistan's management team talking about this, where basically a blockchain ePOD with a driver app, transport marketplace, and even a dispatcher app was connecting all of the shipment events. So coming from stock procurement, stock receiving, to even stock transfers from warehouse to warehouse, all the way to the distributor's order management and the last mile delivery from consignees to the end customers, the retail stores. So in this case, I would say this is one of the most complex application of blockchain where a practical approach needs to be taken. When we say practical approach, it's very difficult to introduce new technology to old players, transporters that otherwise do not have staff that can even understand what a tablet for a driver app can do. Or even, for example, dispatch people that have resistance using routing software. We provide them a routing software, but they have knowledge of their routes on the ground. In Indonesia, for example, it's very, very difficult to actually optimize route and traffic deliveries. Why? Because there's just the volume of vehicles running across the state lines every day. and optimizing these routes, running blockchain-based smart contracts on these shipments will be, albeit inefficient, but very effective for the end users. End users being shippers, the manufacturers, and the financial institutions using the EPOD documents, the smart contract results. But in Pakistan, this one example, they were successful in not only tracking and encapsulating all of these shipment events, but also generate reports, dashboards, analytics that actually could be used by their management team and the transport subcontractors to gain things like, for example, supply chain finance or factoring invoices. So that's one use case in the Middle East, in Pakistan, but there are also growing number of use cases, for example, in the Philippines, that supply chain finance is actually being adopted more and more by several banks here. So a lot of activities are actually happening around two major banks in the Philippines that they run supply chain finance programs based on a fully connected blockchain EPOD. And there are a few companies here doing it for several banks. One of them is Insight SES, and another one is Pelago. So in the case of practical application for supply chain SMEs, I think the most valuable use case that I've seen here is impacting or benefiting the lives of the subcontractor transporters, the small truckers, the suppliers of these the services for the bigger companies. So these companies are actually the biggest beneficiaries of blockchain enabled systems.
Thank you for that, Johanne. That's quite a number of interesting use cases that we've shared earlier. And I believe there's a lot of startups or blockchain startups out there producing new innovative solutions when it comes to logistics and supply chain management, and even in last mile e-commerce last mile delivery services, right? Okay, now we are reaching to the end of our panel discussion session. As such, I would like to invite each of our panelists to share their final thoughts. Max, would you like to share any final thoughts with regards to our discussion session?
Sure. I think the blockchain is a very hot buzzword now. The number one thing is that, is it a correct use case, or is it a misuse, abuse, or overuse? When we look at certain issues in the supply chain, right, actually the fact of a simple database or enterprise resource planning system could actually resolve it. The use of blockchain sometimes are just coined in because of investment. They want to attract investments, fundraising, especially for startups. So this is one of the hot things that actually sometimes a simpler, elegant solution would suffice. Then second thing, I think all the panelists here, we mentioned about the manpower problem, the constraints, right? If you want to have Microsoft certified professional, there's so many people out there. But if you want somebody who is, let's say, a full stack developer, who is familiar with Solidity, Node.js, and deployment, the architecture of the blockchain, there's very, very limited people there. So I would encourage the audience over here today to really maybe look at some of the courses and also certification. I have one close business partner who did mention to me, he was involved as early as the first halving of Bitcoin. So you can see that he was actually way ahead of the curve. But recently, right, when he was, he's a developer, and he mentioned that the clients are starting to ask about certification to prove his experience, expertise, and credentials. So I think it is still early in the game, and all of us would be good if we have some hands-on experience creating an enterprise on blockchain solutions, and also maybe getting some kind of certification if possible, right? And that would be very useful for our future. And the last part is, I think within ASEAN, we talk about the ASEAN currency unit, right? We talk about trade finance. In time to come, there could be a regional solution, right, based on our ASEAN protocols. And from Singapore side, we are promoting this HIVE, highly interactive and vibrant economy for a kind of trade customs regional system. that could be powered by blockchain. So I think there's a lot of potential, right? And yet also possible pitfalls. And therefore, it is definitely a game changer, back to today's topic. So with that, I'd like to thank the organizer. Thanks, Andy, also having me. And really very nice to share our thoughts today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max, for the final thoughts. Christophe, what about yourself?
Yes. In my discussion with the SMEs, I think one of the elements that I like to stress is that blockchain is not a solution. It's an opportunity. So that's an opportunity to improve business process, to create competitive advantages, and sometimes enhance the business model. So it's a step-by-step journey. If we look at three sort of ideal typical roles for SMEs to leverage blockchain technology, you have one role can be an observer. So you join an existing solutions. Then you can have a better customer and partner connectivity. And this is the main objective. And that represents actually a good first step into the technology to learn. It's like adding a tool to actually your existing systems in place. So that's an acceptable solution to learn about the technology and test as well what I would call the internal barriers. So everybody got comfort zone, lack of knowledge. You can face some structural rigidity. That's a good way to go softly into the way of changing and improving your organization. The second role could be cooperator. That means you team up with other interested parties, and then you create a cross-company solution. So in that scenario, there is a need for a deeper analysis of your internal capacities. The departments that are involved definitely must be deeply shared into the process and participate to the solution. So training, comprehension of the whole flow are very critical. Business processes and sometimes the business model at this stage are enhanced. The last level, which I mentioned with ASI example earlier, is that you become service provider. So you offer blockchain-based services to other companies. So it's a sort of complete overhaul of your business model, and each business process must serve the new purpose of the company. So a company must adjust internal resources, and probably, as we all mentioned, they must hire new resources. It's a great opportunity as well to pivot your activity and create a new and deep competitive advantage. Of course, company usually can play different roles depending on the project. And for example, you can be an observer in the accounting project, can be a cooperator in procurement, and then a service provider when you create your own logistic platform. So I would say it's really a step-by-step process. It's a journey. Don't go full-fledged. As Max mentioned, there is no recipe for saying I need or I don't need the blockchain. Touch it, play with it, learn from it, and the best is to start today.
Agree, totally agree with you. Thank you for that final thoughts, Christophe. Effendy, how about yourself? What will be your final thoughts on our discussion today?
Okay, on my final thoughts or my key findings, I can say that blockchain embodies the new business value of trust. And of course, a lot of collaboration is a basis for the blockchain innovation, where I can see go slow before you get fast. Because for me, in order to get the acceptance, you need to have 3 A's. First, the awareness. Second, adoption. And third is acceptance. Anything on acceptance, you need to have a lot of awareness. How to have the awareness? Of course, the talent creation is very important. For example, what I'm doing right now in Malaysia with Management Science and University, we created a lot of executive diploma in the blockchain technology, in the fintech. By that, we have a lot of new talents in this blockchain ecosystem. And of course, a lot of R&D need to be established. And to move forward, we need to create a lot of a subject matter expert in the house. So by that, we can enhance a lot of local technology that can be used for the global scale. By that, we can enhance FDI to the certain country that involved in the blockchain. And I would like also to talk about some things on tech for integrity, because why? Anything on the blockchain tech, we need to have community acceptance, community collaboration. We cannot stand alone. You need to have across borders countries. And of course, by having endorsement, recognition by such a body like World Economic Forum, will be a very good, recognition by the world, the whole body. And I hope in the future, solution like Christophe mentioned just now. I will change now. Before this, I use BAAS, blockchain as solution. I will change now to blockchain as opportunities. So a lot of opportunities to be created with the blockchain ecosystem. Hopefully, with my honorable panelists, all the participants here, Andy as a moderator, let's rock the world with blockchain technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Effendy, for those final thoughts. Johanne, would love to hear about yours too.
Very good. I mean, like my co-panelists said, really, really good points. I'd like to wrap it up with just a few statements here. And for all of the technologists in the event, try to avoid building a solution and then looking for a problem to solve. Blockchain is a great technology. We use it a lot. A lot of us play around with cryptocurrency trading in some of our free time. But in reality, the key to adopting blockchain is actually incremental steps. I think that's what Christophe also said. Incremental steps and making sure that you are aware what your contemporaries in the industry are doing. If somebody else, if another company is applying blockchain in a certain way in their business, apply that in your own space with your own customers, little by little, and see the incremental gains. If it works for invoice factoring, extend it to trade finance. If it works for trade finance, extend it to contract customizations and encapsulating all of the agreements, and go from there until you complete the entire. Say, for example, if you want to look at the supply chain, until you complete the entire flow. So that's what I can say as a parting statement.
Andy, blockchain is not just solution, blockchain is not just a technology, but blockchain is a philosophy of trust and integrity. That's my main point. It's a philosophy of trust and integrity.
Good point, good point. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for all your final thoughts and views and insights you shared earlier. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our panel discussion session. I have learned a lot from hearing the thoughts and insights from my fellow panelists, and I believe you also have learned a lot too. Before we say our goodbyes, I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for any shortcomings, errors, mistakes that have been made. And I also like to thank each and everyone who has given our conference organizer, Munch Exhibitions Thailand, the opportunity to organize such wonderful virtual conference. My fellow panelists and I sincerely hope that you will enjoy the rest of your day and to continue with other sessions to be covered in our virtual conference within the next couple of days. Stay safe and stay healthy. I will now pass the floor back to Prashant. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much, all the panelists. Now, our next session is basically on the cold is hot. So what I'm going to do now for blockchain panelists, I'll move you to attendees now. Thank you very much and stay safe. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.